विवावारी शेष आलोक प्रवेश। बोलो हरे हरे मुकुंद मुरारी राम कृष्ण हयग्रीवा। बोलो हरे हरे नरसिंह वामन श्री मधुसूदन ब्रजेंद्र नंदन श्यामा। पूतन घातन कैतव शातन जय दशरथि रामा। यशोदा दुलाल गोविंद गोपाल वृंदावन पुरंदरा। गोपी प्रिया जन राधिका रमण भुवन सुंदर वरा। रावणांतकर माखन तस्कर गोपी जरावतारी। ब्रजेर राखल गोप वृंदापल चित्त हरि वंशीधारी। योगींद्र वंदन श्रीनंदनंदन ब्रज जना भयहारी। नवीन निरद रूप मनोहर मोहन वंशी बिहारी। यशोदानंदन कंस निसूदन निकुंज रास विलासी। कदम्ब कानन रस परायण वृंद विपिन निवासी। आनंदवर्धन प्रेम निकेतन कुल शरयोजक कामा। गोपांगना गण चित्त विनोदन समस्त गुण गण धामा। यशोदानंदन कंसनिषूदन निकुंजरास विलासी कदम्ब कानन रसपरायण वृंदविपिन निवासी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे विभवरेश आलोक प्रवेश निद्रा छाड़ी उठ जीवा निद्रा आलोक प्रवेश हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Kishodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol Om Ishtapada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Divine Grace Abhaya Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuvanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Welcome all of you for the Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani class on the 22nd chapter. We are in the last section of the 22nd chapter. How the faithless can awaken faith. So these are the divisions of the book: Introduction, Mixed Devotion Service, Pure Devotion Service, Stages of Pure Devotion. We have completed ABCD. E, we are in the E section. In E section also there are 10 chapters. Qualification to hear Krishna's pastimes. So in those chapters, we are in which chapter now? Third chapter. And third chapter we completed. The first two parts, convincing the faithless to hear, and book description is for everyone. The last part we are going to do today, some of the faithless should hear. So this is very beautifully developed. What are the qualifications to hear and what are the principles of hearing? We heard all those things. Now, even without faith, one can hear and gradually develop faith. That is what was explained here. Therefore, the book distribution was emphasized. And then we will have further chapters, hearing with impure faith, and then unsteady devotion, and gradually it will go. The 11 chapters in this section itself. So, yeah. So this is the first part of this. What the faithless people should hear, and what not the faithless people should hear. Very precisely it is mentioned here. Please read that. Who has the mic? Yeah.
What and what not the faithless should hear. Persons with awakened appreciation and interest in Krishna consciousness naturally ask questions of devotees such as, what do you actually believe? This type of inquisitiveness invites devotees to speak the Gita's basic philosophy and to encourage the inquisitive to chant Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is a jignasu, huh? Because the person has a appreciation and interest. So the word Shraddha, Prabhupada translates it as, when Prabhupada was in Toronto, he was giving a lecture. So he was telling about the Bhagavatam class he was telling. People have a lot of interest in money making, but they don't have interest in achieving perfection in human form of life by making spiritual inquiries. So because they think money making is purposeful, and they don't see the chanting of the holy name, studying the scriptures, rising early in the morning to be very purposeful. So every living entity assesses in life what is weighty and what is not weighty. It's called artadam. In Sanskrit, it's called artadam. What is purposeful, what is weighty. All of us in our lives also, as we grow in age, we keep watching, looking at the world around and thinking, what study I should do, what type of job I should take up, what type of achievements I should attain in my life. Somebody thinks if you become an engineer or a doctor or a chartered accountant, you are great. Similarly, somebody thinks if you can become a model, if you can become a model, that is great. Somebody thinks if you become a great singer, it's very great. Somebody thinks if you can crack the UPSC and become one of the bureaucrat, it's great. Or somebody thinks if you go beyond India, go abroad, it's great. Or somebody thinks if you become an entrepreneur and set up a business in the West, it's great. Everybody has his idea. So these are all material achievements, and 99% of the living entities are allured by the glitter and glamour of the material world due to the Rajoguna and Tamaguna. They consider those things purposeful. But even if one comes to the realm of religion and spirituality, in that also there are different living entities searching for what is worthy of surrender. So somebody foolishly surrenders to some man-made god, like if you see the humans claiming to be incarnations in Kali Yuga, because they think by connecting with those so-called incarnations, they can become affluent, or they can put a full stop to their suffering, things like that. Therefore, you will find in that also there is bhukti, mukti, siddhi. So to go beyond bhukti, mukti, siddhi, and even not have, this all finer. Mukti is actually much more finer than bhukti. Bhukti is a gross achievement. Just like the foolish creatures who are chasing after bhukti are pitied by the pitied, it is said in Bhagavatam. Pitied by the pitied. What is the pitied by the pitied? The moksha vancha people pity the bhoga vancha people. And the bhaktas pity the moksha vancha people. So, just like for example, sometimes parents take the kid to the seashore. The kid is making some, sand castle. And when the water washes away, the kid is crying out loudly. And the parents laugh at him. But they don't know that their own material achievements will be washed away if they don't take to spirituality seriously. Similarly, the jnanis pity the bhogis. They think these bhogis don't know, they're short-sighted. Their material achievements will be taken away like a honey bee accumulating honey in a honeycomb. That will be taken away. It's all temporary, perishable commodity. We only aspire for moksha in Brahman, they think like that. But that is also pitied by the bhaktas. Because bhaktas think how foolish these jnanis are, they are missing the opportunity to connect with the personality of Godhead and engage in loving service to Him. They feel like that. Sri Radha Vrindavan ki. So, therefore, to come to bhakti is very, very rare. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan. Even for a jnanavan, it takes many, many thousands of lifetimes. Also, Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kachit yatati siddhiya. Even Bhagavatam also says, Muktanam avisiddhanam narayana parayanaha. Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapu Mahamani. Koti crores of jnanis and yogis. Amongst them, the Krishna Bhakta is one, he's saying. So therefore, this path of unmotivated devotional service, when karmis see, they will be shocked. They wonder, why are you wasting your life after learning a degree? You are just chanting and dancing. One fellow told you wasted one IIT degree. One fellow was telling. And he was telling, if I got it, I would have been more happy. I would have gone abroad with this. He was telling. So because they, with their mundane vision, they cannot comprehend, what the bhaktas are achieving. It's a very fine achievement. For example, if I give you, this much currency note, like one fellow gave a donation, all 20 rupee notes. 20 rupee notes, this much he gave. Total, if you count, it's about 5,000 rupees. Or I write a check for you, 5 crore rupees. The 5 crore looks very small. It is just one paper you can fold and keep this thing. And this fellow thinks, oh, I got this much currency note. So the bhogis are like that only. Bhogis think I got something very substantial. It is insignificant compared to the finest thing that you get in the bhakti. So the advantage of bhakti is what? You have connection with the Supreme Lord. And with that connection, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, all are tapping your door. And they are with folded palms, they are asking, please may I come in, sir, how can I serve you? Mukti, Muklitanjali, Sevate Asman. Our Bilomangal Thakur writes this, Prabhupada would often quote this. Actually, this is not an exaggeration, because we can show from Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas also, everything and everyone is at the beck and call of a pure devotee who has connection with Krishna. Example is Arjuna. Arjuna has a connection with Krishna. So Krishna takes him to Mahavishnu Loka and brings the 4 sons of the Brahmana and saves Arjuna's life. Similarly, Krishna arranges for the sun to be blocked so that Arjuna can kill Jayadratha. And Arjuna's life can be saved. And Arjuna, Parikshit says that the Kaurava Sainya Sagaram, it was like a vast ocean of soldiers. But Arjuna could swim through that ocean where big Timingala like soldiers were there, like Bhishma, Drona and such people. Arjuna could win over all of them and emerge victorious simply by that one connection with Krishna. So if you have connection with Krishna, you have everything. If you have no connection, we have nothing. All other achievements are very insignificant. So Prabhupada says a very simple example. If you want to know the systems in America, you can go study from north to south. You can go travel city to city, meet big people and inquire. But if you have friendship with the President of America, you just sit with him for a couple of days. He'll open his computer and show you what is Pentagon, what is the financial system, what is the transport system, what is communication system, what is the political system, how the country is being planned, how it is being run. Everything he can show sit with you in a couple of days. How is he running the country, he can tell you. And that's what Arjuna did. He made friendship with Krishna. In 7.4, 7.5 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhumi Napo Nalavayu Kamano Buddhirevacha Hankarityam me Binna me Prakritrashada. Prabhupada used to say that me. Binna me. Why me? My. Krishna says, this is my material energy, Arjuna. And then he's saying, Apareyam etastu anyam prakritim viddhi me param. That is also me. That is spiritual world, this is material world. In 2 verses, Krishna finished all that is material, all that is spiritual. In just 2 verses. So, being with Krishna means you have access to everything. Therefore, it is the intelligence, it is in our interest that we sort through all the different opportunities in life and at last come to the point of understanding that Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Surrendering to Krishna is the best. So therefore he is saying here, devotees, sometimes you see the Hare Krishna devotees chanting and dancing in the street, somebody is watching. Somebody who is a bhogi or a tyagi, they may not be able to understand. They may think that these are crazy fellows. Prabhupada said, who is crazy? Prabhupada wrote article. You think we are crazy, we know you are crazy. Prabhupada wrote an article about that. So when people see in the beginning, right at the outset, if they are Kshina Punyan, they have no Punya, they consider the devotees to be useless. But if they have some Punya, they will come and ask. They will come with the devotees to the temple. They may eat prasad. They may ask them, what do you actually believe? Why did you give up everything? Why do you get up so early in the morning? Why don't you sleep till 9 o'clock? What makes you get up? What makes you chant and dance? What makes you discard all the things of the world and then run after Krishna? What is so special about Krishna? So they may ask such questions. Read the next one, second one. This type of
inquisitiveness invites devotees to speak the Gita's basic philosophy and to encourage the inquisitive to chant Hare Krishna.
anybody you meet, the first thing we should teach them is about the soul-body difference. One time Prabhupada was taking a massage, oil massage, from a devotee in the rooftop. So whenever Prabhupada was taking oil massage, he would talk to the devotee. So Prabhupada was having his eyes closed. He asked the devotee, so do you also preach? Prabhupada asked him. Yes, Prabhupada. What do you preach? He asked him. So the devotee said, Prabhupada, I tell them, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Goloka Vrindavan is our eternal home. Some or other, we are suffering in this world. And we have to go back home, back to Godhead. That's the ultimate goal of life. And by chanting Hare Krishna, we can attain back to Godhead. Prabhupada said, all that is all right. One very important thing you missed out. Prabhupada said, what is it? You didn't tell them you are not the body, you are the spirit soul. That first, the whole world is thinking who they are. Yeah, they are thinking I am the body, what I see in the mirror. That superficial body which is continuously changing. They identify with it. The first thing you should teach, you are not the body or the soul. Then second thing, we should teach the difference between the soul and God. Difference. That's the second thing we should teach. Third thing we should teach is by servitorship to God, by alignment with God, we become happy. And by turning our back to God, we suffer. That's the third thing. Then after you teach these things, then you can tell them. Law abiders live with God. Law breakers live a life of separation like in this world. So how do we reconnect with Him? By chanting the holy name and following the 4 regs. So this is what is the basic Gita basics, basic philosophy. These things should be taught to people. Why I am saying this simple, lucid things to you? Because many times in our preaching to new people, we may not touch these things at all. Because we don't want to push the philosophy down their throat. We want to make them feel light. Many times people say that, like once a sannyasi went to one big man's house, and the sannyasi sat and the big man brought some fruits, he ate. So the big man had requested sannyasi to come to his house. Therefore sannyasi came. So sannyasi asked the gentleman, do you have any spiritual inquiries? He asked him. He said, I just want to tell you that I feel very blessed that you have come to my house. You have sanctified my house, therefore I have called you to my house. He said, okay, that is all right. But I have not just come, I have brought a spiritual message also for you. So do you want to ask me anything about that? So he didn't have any inquiry. I just want to tell you everything is fine with me. My daughter is married. My sons are settled abroad. I have a very good facility here. And my health is also all right now. I had some complication, now it is better now. That's all. He had any inquiry? And then he didn't ask. And then he said, this Maharaj said, the situation will not be like this always. The nature of material world it is ever changing. And the gentleman said, therefore I have invited you. So that if some problems come, you will bless us that it will be all right. So then the Swami was telling him, you see, the real blessing is to become connected to God. Not to continue in the same cozy position in the material world, which is never stable. Padam padam, yatvi padam, natesham. See, in the material world, there is a stage of calm, stage of storm. So many times living beings, when they experience some calm situation, they aspire and they expect that let it go on and on for ever. And that's not something that is natural in the material world. Prabhupada says the upheavals are very natural in the material world. Ups and downs. Sometimes success, sometimes failure. Sometimes profit, sometimes losses. Sometimes pleasure, sometimes pain. Yeah, sometimes somebody, speaks to you lovingly, somebody insults you. So these are all. Therefore, in this material world, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Tapakari Mishra, it is said. Halada Tapakari Mishra means what? The material world is a place of mixed happiness. You know what is the meaning of mixed happiness? Happiness is punctuated by suffering. Or we can say happiness is punctured by suffering also. You cannot be continuously happy. You're happy for a while, then some problem comes. Again, you're happy. It's like a sweet rice, in between stones come. Again, some little sweet rice tasty, again, stone comes. It's like that. If you say, I want only sweet rice with no stone, then go back to Godhead. That is a spiritual world where there is only happiness. Because spiritual world is a place where all the souls are, aligned around Krishna and Krishna's loving service. There is no suffering there. So, therefore, these kind of Gita basics should be taught to them. These kind of basics of the Gita philosophy when somebody is inquisitive. And most importantly, the concluding talk with anybody should be encourage them to chant Hare Krishna. You will see in today's session, the whole session, this chapter talks about, if you really want to benefit somebody, you have to make them chant Hare Krishna, he says. You will see that. Yeah. The first
six chapters of Bhagavad Gita make a wonderful introductory guide to devotional service. There, Krishna logically and reasonably explains topics such as the soul's presence in the body, the importance of dutiful work, and his own transcendental position.
Yeah, what is the importance of dutiful work? Any work that we do leads to karma bandhana in this world. 3.9 Bhagavad Gita. Yajñartat karmanah anyatra loko yam karma bandhanah tadattam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So the first step is to see the world in which we are living in. When you observe the world itself, any child can observe this. The sun shines, the cloud showers, the grains grow and crops grow, the seasons change, isn't it? The fruit ripens, the flowers blossom. So many phenomena is happening all around us, which we are not doing. The wind is blowing, the rains are showering. So, and one should see our dependence on those things, utter dependence on those things. We are taking those things and we are not doing anything in return, so we become rini, debtor. It's the first thing. Therefore, in the 3.9, 10, 11, 12, those 4 verses you will see, Lord Krishna is telling that those who do not understand that they are debtor and they don't perform yajna, they become bhunkte sthena evasa, he saying. They become thieves, he says. So that's why he says, when we do work, even company takes TDS, you know that? Company takes tax deducted at source. Even they take it. Of course, they don't even show that money to you. They will take it and they will only give you the balance. Similarly, if one is taking from Lord something, you become debtor. And if you don't give back something, then the debt remains. Therefore, we commit sin by that. It's like taking somebody's money and not paying them back. It's like that. Like, nowadays there are solar vehicles coming up now. You put a solar panel on the top and take the heat and transform it into electricity and then use the vehicle. Now, if you have to run a vehicle now, are you not paying for the diesel or petrol? To the booth who are giving you? In the same manner, if you are taking from God the solar energy, what are you paying back? Think about it. Somebody was telling me, they have a lot of solar panels on the top of their building. And they are making a lot of electricity. And the excess electricity they can sell also to EB. You heard about that? So if you are selling it, you are making money, correct, no? So now, where you are taking from God and selling it and making money for your pocket? What are you giving him? Think about it. So it's a very obvious, simple thing to understand. So if you are living in a village, you will understand this point very easily. In city, you go to buy these vegetables, fruits and cereals, grocery. You spend a lot of money in city. In village, just behind your house, you grow so many vegetables. Morning, you can go and cut and bring it. Therefore, village people don't spend much. They hardly spend 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees they spend. In city, monthly people spend 30,000-40,000 rupees. Why? Because you have to purchase all these things. So when you live close to nature, you can see how much, you are taking from God. So therefore, he's saying responsible work means it should be sanctioned, sanctified, and regulated. That is a dutiful work. If you're eating, sanctioned eating is vegetarian food. Sanctified eating is prasad. Regulated food means not overeating. So in this way, then your life is set right in the proper direction. So your connection to God. Yajñārtāt karmanaha, like that he says. And his own translation. Read the next one.
Such explanations of eternal truths pleasantly surprise persons accustomed to dogmatic religious arguments that often contradict common sense.
Yeah. This is the beauty of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. He presents the eternal truths in a very powerful way. One time I went with His Holiness Gopalakrishna Maharaj to one gentleman's house, one well-wisher's house. So Maharaj, generally when he meets them first, he will ask them, so how is your business? He asked. He said, oh Maharaj, by God's grace, my business is booming. He said, it's booming so much that I only had a couple of daughters only. In fact, I have started one business for them also. From my money boomed so much. I started one business for them, and I have my business and they have their business also. He said. Immediately Maharaj came to the point. See, you are flourishing in your business by whose grace? God's grace. What are you doing for him? So you should do something for him. He said, yes, Maharaj. You tell me what you want me to do. Then he will say that. Here is a seva for you. You do it. So in this way, I have seen when I go with great souls travel, I come to see that how they how they are able to make the people feel that obligation to God and inspire them to commit themselves either in the form of money, either in the form of energy, either in the form of some recommendation or support. Somebody is saying, I am from IIT, I went abroad, I did my postdoctorate fellowship and I have returned back to India. Now I am a big professor or a scientist working. It's very great, but what are you doing for Krishna? You may be educated, you may be in a very big position. Using that position, how are you propagating Krishna consciousness? Everybody can serve in some manner. If you read 12.10 and 11.55 Bhagavad Gita, mat karma krit, mat paramo, mat bhakta, mat karma krit, mat paramo, madartha, what is that? No, not that one. No. That's another shloka. This is mat karma krit, mat paramo, mad bhakta sangha varjita, I think. So this verse gives about poor man, what he can do. Rich man, what he can do. How he can serve. Prabhupada says, if you're a rich man, build a big temple for the Lord. And you are also allowed to live in the temple, Prabhupada says. If you want in one corner, you can also live, he says. There was one devotee of Bhakti Thakur. He gave all his earnings. He sold out all his house, everything, and he made a big Bagh Bazaar temple. And told Guru that, Gurudev, I don't have anything. I have given you everything. He also came and lived with the Guru's ashram only. He gave his whole life savings, everything to Guru like that. So a rich man can build a big temple and he can also come and live in the temple and render service to the Lord. And if one is poor, Prabhupada says he can actually make some flowers in a garden and offer the flowers to the Lord. Both can render service. And in 12.10, Prabhupada says, every endeavor requires land, some capital, some manpower, correct, no? Those things. You know the 5 M's, no? Machine, man, management, material, and method. So there are 5 M's, we call it. So every organization requires that. ISKCON is also an organization. So in this way, actually we should teach people 3 things. First is philosophy, the jiva, God, and the sambandha between the two. And the jiva's obligation to God. This is the first thing you teach. Second thing, you teach them to chant Hare Krishna and follow the 4 regs. Correct? No, that's the second thing, which is a spiritual sadhana. And the third thing is how you can engage in Lord's seva. With whatever you possess. There is no compulsion. Because seva itself is a voluntary thing. So by doing seva, who benefits? You benefit. If you do seva, you benefit. If I do seva, I benefit. So inspire the jivas. Please do some seva in whatever way. Don't fear that we will ask you money. If you can't give money, give your hands and legs. Do some practical service. Cut some sabji, grow some flowers and offer. So one man was asking Prabhupada, Swamiji, what is the meaning of initiation? If we take initiation, do we have to give up everything? Prabhupada said, no. Do I have to leave everything, come and live in the temple? Prabhupada said, no. Can I live at home with my wife and children? Yes, Prabhupada said. And some people told me I have to give money. Do I have to give money? Prabhupada said, no. But some of them said, I have to give donation. Prabhupada said, that is your choice. My choice, how much I have to give? That you decide. Oh, that's very nice. He felt very happy. Thank you, now I am clear now. He said, it's there in, you'll find in SSR book, Prabhupada's conversation. What a beautiful moment it is. Because ultimately every jiva has to be accountable to Krishna, and we are here to only to facilitate them. We are not here to push anybody. You do this or do that. Basically, we have to connect the jiva to Krishna and let him voluntarily serve Krishna. One time in Vrindavan, His Holiness Dhanudhar Maharaj had gone to a temple along with two more Swamis. So he was taking darshan of one deity. So he wanted to give some 500 rupees to the deity. So somebody else was selling one Dham, what do you call it? Dham Sevak. That fellow said, Maharaj, you don't have to give anything. I will pay him at the end. But the Pujari said, see, he is a Swami. He is looking at the Lord's beauty. He wants to serve. Why are you coming in between? He said, Maharaj, if you want, you put in the hundi. It's your choice. And he was selling a good point. Every jiva has a desire to serve. And nobody should stop his desire to serve. Sometimes one of the family members want to render some service. The other one says, no, don't give so much. Don't worry. Later on we will do it. The tendency of the jiva is to instantly want to enjoy sense gratification and postpone Krishna consciousness. Actually, we should do the opposite. When propensity for sense gratification comes, what we should do? Postpone it. And when a little desire comes to serve Krishna, what should we do? Instantly serve. Shubhasya. So Shubhasya Shigram should be applied for Indriya Tarpan or for Krishna Seva. Yeah. Isn't it? So, yeah.
Similarly, the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, for instance, the concept of the absolute truth in three features, harmonizes and synthesizes seemingly contradictory concepts of God.
Yeah, seemingly contradictory concepts of God. When I first came to program Bhagavad Gita class, first day only I asked His Holiness Bhakti-Rasamrita Maharaj, please tell me, is God impersonal or personal? I asked him. He knew that I come from a background where I have read many impersonalistic books. So he said, God is impersonal and much more. Like that he said. I said, really? Then I said, I understand the impersonal thing, but what is that much more? He said, that you will learn in the future classes. Then I continued attending classes. So because I learned from him like this, later on when I went to IIT Bombay, I was giving one class where in the early days, a 6-day session I did. And in those days, 98 boys had come. 6-session course I did. In the first, second and third session, one small boy, young boy had come. So he was very enthusiastic. He would sit in the front and answer the questions. So then when I was telling about Bhakti Yoga and chanting of the holy name and God is a person, Krishna and all that I was telling. So he asked me a question that I am already going to one more organization, one mission. I am going also. And I have come here. So should I do both or should I do either one? Or can I go there or should I come here? What I should do? I said, see, you can either come only here or you can come here and go there also. But don't stop coming here, I said. Because you will see all your search for God ends here. You will find Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That's a verse I told him. Jnanavan Mam Prapati. See, you are a Jnanavan, you are an intelligent boy. 3 sessions you have attended, you are understanding very well. Now Vasudeva Sarvamiti. This is a place where you get Vasudeva. Please come, I said. And he was convinced, attended. Then he went on to become a powerful devotee. Can you guess who it is? It is Gaur Hari Prabhu. Gaur Hari Prabhu, who is a professor in IIT. He joined IIT as a professor, now he's a professor. So, because I learned from His Holiness Bhakti-Rasamrita Maharaj how to present the philosophy to the new people who are actually sometimes stranded in the search after God. Huh? You have to be very careful in presenting. It's a unifying approach, not a dividing approach. The Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, Bhagavatam says they are one substance only. A non-dual substance, the word is used. What substance? Vastavastu is non-dual, it's one only. But it's perceived in three different ways. Huh? Like from a distance, the mountain appears like a hazy cloud. When you go near, it appears green. When you even go near, you find the cows and calves going up, down, some smoke is coming, houses are there, human beings are there, correct? No? The detail becomes more visible as you go near. Similarly, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, huh? As you go near and near. So the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam is it harmonizes and synthesizes everything rather than splitting and cutting and dividing. Bhagavatam doesn't do that. It harmonizes and synthesizes all the contradictory. For example, tad dure, tad bantike. That's a contradictory, seemingly contradictory concepts of God. How tad bantike is Paramatma in the heart. How tad dure is Virat Purusha. Correct, no? Tat ejati, tan nejati. Tad dure, tad bantike. For example, how is God simultaneously hard and soft? Vajradapi kathoram, kusumadapi komala. Yes, because when Lord Narasimha kept his lotus-like palm, Tavakara, Kamalavare on the head of Prahlad, that time Prahlad felt as if some lotus is kept on his head. He was so happy. But Lord's nails were cutting tool nails, which were used for cutting the belly of Hiranyakashipu. So they were very hard and sharp. If any of you know what a cutting tool is, and lathe they use it, lathe cutting tools. Somebody might have used in lathe. So Lord's nails were like cutting tool nails, but Lord's palm was very soft. So the contradictions are resolved in the Lord. So Lord is absolute truth, but he also speaks lies. Then when he comes as Krishna, by stealing butter, he tells lies to Mother Yashoda. The contradiction is resolved. People ask, can God lift a stone? Which God create a stone which he himself cannot lift? So Krishna said he couldn't lift a small burden which Mother Yashoda wanted him to bring. He said it is heavy for me, but he created the Govardhan mountain which he lifted. So impossible to lift thing he lifted, and easy to lift he said I couldn't lift. So in this way, these paradoxical questions are all defeated in Lord. That's the meaning of this. He harmonizes and synthesizes seemingly contradictory concepts of God. Is God personal or impersonal? Is both. Both answers. Therefore, our philosophy is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, we say. So it is a very deep philosophy. You should not hold on to one extreme side of it and fanatically argue. Therefore, we should present in a maturity means to be able to present the philosophy in a very synthesized manner. Read the next one. This unifying.
This unifying approach to religion is satisfying to people who have long witnessed unnecessary violence over differences in so-called religious beliefs.
One Christian father, asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, your teaching is good, but at the same time, we want to follow Christian, we don't want to follow Hindu, we are telling. Prabhupada immediately said, what Christian, what Hindu? We are only telling you, And then Prabhupada said, see, you are wearing dress, I am wearing dress, correct? No, you must wear dress. You cannot be without dress. Human being means you have to wear dress. And then Prabhupada said, in the same manner, externally, you may follow some religion, this religion, that religion. But all are human beings. Similarly, Prabhupada said, can you live without eating food? He said, no. I can't live without eating food. You eat food, I eat food. Similarly, the external codes and conducts and behavior and things we show in a particular religion, denominations and everything you show, and that is actually external. But internally, all of us are spirit. And Prabhupada explained to him in such a scientific manner. He said, what is sin? He asked him. So he said, and then he's told what all are sin and what we should not do. Prabhupada said, no, what is the definition of sin? And he couldn't say. Prabhupada said, sin means disobedience to God. Do you agree? And the man said, yes. Prabhupada said, this is what our Sanatana Dharma says. Sin means disobedience to God. And the Prabhupada said, so we should shun sin and engage in virtuous acts in alignment with God. Do you agree? The man agreed. And then Prabhupada told him, one of the 10 commandments says, one should not covet another man's wife. And the man was very happy to hear that. He said, yes, Swami, that's correct. All your people, are they following? He said, they're not following. That is sin. Do you agree it is sin? He said, yes. And we say, Matravat Paradareshu. And you say, one should not covet another man's wife. Ultimately, it is a same thing. You can see that. And we say God should be glorified by the holy name. Did your Jesus not say that? And immediately that man quoted, yes. Jesus said, chant the name of thy Lord with all thy heart and all thy might. He quoted that. And Prabhupada said, yes, we say the same thing. Nam namakari vahudani sarva shakti. So, and Prabhupada said, we say serve the Lord. Don't enjoy the Lord. Serve the Lord. So, in this way, Prabhupada showed him 3-4 things. And the man was so impressed. See, this is one thing we have to learn from Prabhupada. How to present our Krishna conscious philosophy as a universal philosophy. Where Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, you can accommodate the whole world. Rather than present it as a very sectarian thing. And that kind of sectarian presentation has alienated many people from other religions. Correct, no? So, Prabhupada had that knack of presenting. Yeah.
We live in an age in which deductive reasoning has supplanted faith, especially in the field of education. People in general, therefore, invest their faith only in ideas that appear to them consistent with modern science. For this very reason, however, the sincere will accept that only the existence of an intelligent creator can logically explain the source of such a highly structured cosmos as the one in which we live.
Yeah. Therefore, Prabhupada explained the basic philosophy in a very systematic fashion in his books like Science of Self-Realization and such books. You have to logically explain. For example, look at this, lemon tree. It is producing tons of, citric acid. But can you take this citric acid and produce a lemon tree? You cannot. So from chemicals, the plant didn't come. From the plant, the chemicals come. Living bodies produce chemicals, but chemicals don't produce living bodies. What an argument. Prabhupada gave such a very... And then Prabhupada said, look at the vast of water ocean, H2O. That means it's a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. Such vast quantities of chemical. Where has it come from? What is the source? You can say big things about in chemistry. Similarly, Prabhupada said, look at the garden. You are talking protoplasm, cytoplasm, nucleus and all these things. You can use word jargon to make the people forget the source of everything. But where has it come from? Where has it sprung from? Show me one thing which has come from nothing. So, Prabhupada's arguments were so powerful that Hansadutta Prabhu was very inspired when he went to Lanka to challenge one atheist called Abraham Kovur. And this atheist was having a rationalistic association. He tried to tease the devotees. So Hamsadutta Prabhu gave him an open challenge in a newspaper. And then he wrote back. Hamsadutta Prabhu wrote back. Back and forth letters were going. And Prabhupada got the news that these are being published. Prabhupada said, very happy. Prabhupada said, publish everything openly for all public to watch. And finally, Hamsadutta Prabhu gave him a challenge. We will give ISKCON, will give you 1 crore rupees if you show in an open laboratory, in a public hall, that you create a mosquito, from matter. Take some dead matter and create a mosquito and we'll give you 1 crore rupees. We give you a challenge, he said. And Abraham Kovur said, no, I will not come. Already there are many mosquitoes. So then newspaper also declared that this fellow Abraham Kovur was defeated. So why I'm saying, where did Hamsadutta Prabhu get confidence like this? Because Prabhupada always had a confrontational approach when he went to the West. Many of us are timid. We may not want to take a confrontational approach. We may fear. But actually in Kali Yuga, people are so deadly and so atheistic. Unless you can cut the nose and establish. In one time in Japan, when Prabhupada went to Japan, one fellow was about to give a property to ISKCON. So when Prabhupada was giving lecture, that fellow was speaking some bluff about making, some Mayavad kind of talk was coming, and Prabhupada actually cut it off. He didn't agree. So the man became upset. He said, because your Swamiji cut off that Mayavad thing and the other person is hurt, so I will not give the property. Prabhupada said, no problem. We don't need your property. At least you are chastised for the wrong thing, he said. He didn't mind it actually. Truth must be spoken. If you just pamper and leave the people with their nonsense and ignorance, you are actually paving way for them to glide down to hell. That is the greatest sin we do. So truth must be spoken, and truth must be spoken not dogmatically or blindly or pushing the truth down the throat without logical explanation. Prabhupada always was very, very logical. Somebody may say, okay, you are logical, but are you kind? Okay, you are kind, but if you are not logical, what is the use of your kindness? As much as you can argue against harsh presentation, you can also ask question against so-called kind presentation that cheats the masses. That is also equally questionable. So therefore, here he says that the intelligent creator's existence should be logically explained. And nowadays, I go to many college programs, I openly challenge. I tell them that, Prabhupada said, I am saying the intelligent creator who has brought about the universe is Krishna, and these are the evidences for that. Either you accept this, if you don't accept it, you present the truth, Prabhupada said. Then I will argue about it. And many people couldn't speak a word. He presented. So establishing the presence of a creator, establishing that life always comes from life. Life can never arise from matter. And this life doesn't exist in this universe without any rhyme or reason. No. Life has a goal. The goal is to cleanse the heart and go back to God, to join the eternal abode of boundless bliss. So these things should be established. College students, boys and girls, are completely ignoramus. They are actually graduating into nothingness. Foolish, utterly foolish. They have no knowledge of soul, the body difference. They have no knowledge of the existence of God. They have no knowledge of goal of life. All they know is to meddle with a smartphone, that's all. And keep on playing with it. And all they know is man-woman relationship. And they're just playing with entertainment. And right from 8th standard, all these things starts. So if you are not going to, I would be very happy to speak the truth and die, even if nobody becomes a devotee. At least we have spoken the truth. That credit will be there in our account. He spoke the truth at least. Otherwise, without speaking the truth, bluffing and pampering their sense gratification and fanning the sense gratification would be the greatest disservice we can do to the suffering souls. Therefore, here it is a universe sprang not from a big bang, but from a big brain. Yeah, this conclusion.
This conclusion points to a personal God, the most complete understanding of whom may be found in the Vedic literature. The Vedas scientifically reveal God to be Bhagavan, the all-attractive and complete possessor of 6 prime attributes: strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation.
Yeah, such a loud and clear message in the scriptures. I was so thrilled the first time when I learned about this definition of Bhagavan. Because it's not that these opulences are not seen in this world. In this world also you see these opulences. But these opulences exist in this world in small proportion. Somebody is beautiful, somebody is intelligent, somebody is strong, somebody is famous, somebody is wealthy. But these opulences exist in small proportions. Not only that, these opulences don't last forever in this world. Just like a jugunu, glowworms, its glow lasts only for the night. In the morning time, it has no more glow. Similarly, the opulences in this world, people come and show their opulence for a while and they go away. Like there are so many cinema actors, actresses, they show their beauty for a while. After 20, 30, 40 years, what happens to them? They also get white hair, their teeth are also gone, they become ugly looking, ugly duckling when they get older. So therefore, one should see that these opulences are a tiny reflection of the original opulences which are in the Lord. And in the Lord it is said, they are existing in oceanic proportion. And they never diminish. They always exist forever. And this is what Rahugana was told by Jadabharata. Jadabharata told Rahugana, hey Rahugana, you are claiming to be a boss, leader. Yes, this Vyavahara Menam, he said. Vyavahara Menam means your claim to be a leader is only conventional, he told him. What is conventional? In this lifetime you are a king, I am a servant. Next lifetime, I may be a king and you may be my servant. Because we are all jivas, part and parcels, wandering in this world. Sometimes king, sometimes praja, sometimes human, sometimes animal. But as far as Lord Vasudeva is concerned, he is the real leader. He is a Shashvat leader. There's a Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Ajam, Vibhum, Arjuna says. He is Adi Deva. He is the original Purusha. And he is a Shashvata Purusha. So nobody in this world can be a permanent leader. Even in politics, you see, 5 years a person leads. After that, there is a re-election, correct? Is God re-elected? Tell me. Anybody re-electing God? God is God forever. Yeah, and there is no one equal to him, nobody greater than him. Therefore, any intelligent person in this world should surrender to God. Because he is worthy of surrendering. Sharanyam. Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam. He is worthy of surrender. Who else in this world is worthy of surrender? Only a pure devotee who can lead us to that God. He is only worthy of surrender. Otherwise, nobody else deserves any worship in this world. Of course, we worship Mother, Father because Matrudeva Bhava, Pitrudeva Bhava, Atideva Bhava, Naradeva Bhava. So, we may worship all these people because they are representing God and they are taking us to God. If they don't represent God and take us to God, they are also useless. No king, no mother, father, relative, anybody can be considered worshipable unless they have a connection to God and they can represent God and they can take us to God. Yeah. So therefore, this is so scientifically presented. So therefore, we should talk about Krishna's kingship in Dwarka. Who is there in this world who can marry 16,108 wives? Give them all each a palace and sari and ornaments. And not only that, expand oneself to live with each and every one of them and be a loving husband. Offer them service, offer them care. So after reading Krishna taking care of the 16,108 queens, all the jivas can get confidence. Here is a worthy fellow to whom I can take shelter. If I become his devotee, how he is capable, his capability is already proven. Like, when Krishna came to marry Nagnajiti, Nagnajiti is actually King Nagnajiti's daughter. What's her name? Satya, no? Her name is Satya? So, he had one condition. You have to defeat the 7 bulls, only then you can get my daughter in marriage for anybody. Many people came and they broke their hands, legs and went back. They couldn't subdue the 7 bulls. When Krishna came, Krishna offered obeisances and that fellow also offered obeisances, the father of the girl. And Krishna said, since you are already favorable to me, I think you will give your daughter in marriage to me without even defeating the bulls, I think. Isn't it? Like that he asked him. And the man didn't agree. He said, no, sorry, my lord. Because this is a policy I have kept. Otherwise, others will fight with me. How did you give your daughter in marriage to Krishna without the fulfillment of the criteria? And Krishna smiled and said, okay, so be it, I will do it. So the daughter was watching. Poor girl, already many fellows have broken their hands, legs and gone. What is going to happen to Krishna? She was worried. So when Krishna came, he expanded himself into 7 forms and subdued all the bulls very, very easily. All of them were brought under control. And there Prabhupada says, why did Krishna expand? He wanted to tell Satya that if you marry me, don't worry, I will give you exclusive attention. Even if I have 16,108 queens, each of them I can give attention. I am capable personality because he is God. Correct, no? So, otherwise a lady may worry that if this fellow marries many women, how will he give time? How will he give attention? What will be his salary will become shared also. Isn't it? Here is Krishna. So one should see the capabilities of the Lord. So his opulences are oceanic. Actually, when we talk all these things, those living entities who are mischievous will become envious. But those who are honest will become surrendered. Their heart will become more and more cleansed by hearing the glories of the Lord. We should actually adore and admire these opulences which Krishna possesses. And despite all these opulences in Vrindavan, he becomes a mere covered boy, playing with other covered boys and dancing with the gopis and giving time even to the cows and calves and deers. Yes, yet
having explained such things to non-devotees, preachers should not divulge the pastimes and incarnations of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. The faithless will generally dismiss such Puranic narrations as myths, thereby also rejecting all revealed scriptures containing such pastimes. Books such as the Krishna and Vrindavan series, therefore, are not for persons who lack faith.
Yeah. So till now, if you see in today's class also, I spoke 2 things. One was about logically presenting the basics of Bhagavad Gita. What I said in that? You are not the body or the soul. There is a God who is governing the universe. And nothing happens by chance. Correct now? And our relationship with God, our servitorship to God, and chanting Hare Krishna, following four regulative principles, and then engaging them in seva. So this is for the new people. And for those who are already doing these things, for them you can tell Krishna's pastimes. You can tell Krishna's Dwarka pastimes, which I said just now, Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, and more information about the Lord Bhagavan. Then you can get into details like Matsya Kurma, Varaha, Narsingha, all those things you can tell after they become mature. So it's like a 2 stages. First stage for newcomers, and the second stage for more advanced in the path of religion. But if you like here, all this Vedas and Puranas and everything, when you speak, sometimes a person who is atheistic or he may not be atheistic also, he may be a bit religious, but he is skeptical due to his imaginative understanding of advancement in science. Correct, no? Therefore, you have to clear the scientific dirt first before we can give them the blessing of Puranic pastimes. Therefore, if you see in our training program in colleges, Discover Yourself course itself is scientifically presented. And after that, even in Sankalpa festival, we have this, can faith be reasonable? Later on, when you go to Spurti camp, we have one more also, similar. We have 3 C's, condition, conditioning, and cutthroat competition, which shows the realities of the world. You will see that. And also we present logically scientific nature of God's existence. Such kinds of things we present. So we clear the scientific dust on one hand and show the reality and suffering in the material world on the second hand. Then we give something positive. Each of the camps have these 3 aspects. You will see that. So if you see our syllabus, that's how it is designed. Rekindling wisdom, reviving love. Reviving love is full of pastimes and everything. Rekindling wisdom, talks about our life in this world. And then, can faith be reasonable, clears the scientific dirt. So that's what he's saying, that skeptical people should not be presented with nectar. They can't digest it. It's like, newborn baby, you have to give breast milk of the mother. You can't give a parota into the mouth of the child.
If such persons have acquired these books, they should be taught to first read Bhagavad Gita as it is, Sri Ishopanishad, and introductory books such as The Science of Self-Realization. And of course, they should be taught to chant Hare Krishna.
Yeah, therefore the picture I have shown. Ishopanishad, self-realization, this kind of book should be given. And they should also be taught to chant. This is for newcomers. Yeah.
When these persons' devotion awakens and matures, they can then take up books that deal exclusively with Krishna's pastimes.
Yeah, like Krishna book. But now in the market we are selling Krishna book, but along with it we are also selling Bhagavad Gita. So then people will read Bhagavad Gita. And many of the Indian ladies, they already have Laddu Gopal in their house. So they are not atheistic. They have some affection, faith in the Lord. So they will understand the Krishna book. But at the same time, Bhagavad Gita also should be given so that especially the men who go for rational understanding, they will prefer which one, Krishna book or the Bhagavad Gita? They will prefer Bhagavad Gita. So both books we are selling together. Yeah.
The principle of learning and hearing according to qualification is universal. No thoughtful person would consider, for example, enrolling a first-grade arithmetic student in a class that teaches integral calculus.
See, this boy is shocked now, seeing all the equation on the board. Because if you give too advanced thing to a small child, he won't be able to digest. Correct, no? Yeah.
Even the most materialistic persons understand the principle of learning and hearing according to qualification.
Yeah. And the children below are very confident. Why? Because something is given according to their level of understanding. Correct, no? So that means, all of us as preachers, one of our important duties is to see that the audience is able to connect to the information that we are speaking. And they're able to grasp it. They're able to, like sometimes, I see that, after 1 hour of speaking, you ask the audience, can each of you say one point? And they are all blinking. You will see that sometimes. And therefore, we should not speak for too long. You speak a few minutes and check their understanding, and then give a little more and check their understanding, especially in colleges and all when we go. So keep it interactive. If you don't keep it interactive, you can't know what is going on in their head. How much are they grasping? So later on, you will feel sorry that I spoke so much, even 1 point they are not able to say. You can't. Actually, if they are unable to repeat a point, we should consider I am a worse teacher. I am not a good teacher. I could not help them understand. Then rather I need to improve. That's what we should think. Yeah. So here the children are cheerful and happy because they're able to connect with the teacher's teaching. That's how we should teach also. Hmm.
Qualified study is universal. Systematic teaching is the basics of any educational method. For people are always taught subject matter they have the ability to grasp. Following the universal process of step by step learning enables toddlers to understand the most complex topics by the time they reach adulthood.
Yeah. That means start from simple and then take to advanced and complex topics. Yeah.
As discussed in chapter 1, hearing about Krishna is inseparable from chanting his holy names. In fact, the main purpose of Krishna consciousness presented in books or in the devotee's speech is to convince people to chant.
All the purpose of knowledge acquisition is for what purpose? To chant, make them chant Hare Krishna. Therefore, if we don't bring them to the point of chanting Hare Krishna, we are just having intellectual titillation. Then it is like an armchair speculator. They have to come to chant. See, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even before teaching any knowledge, he made them chant and dance. See here, in the top. So we should bring people to chanting.
In the beginning, such chanting may be offensive or faithless, and that is acceptable in trainees, though obviously not for senior practitioners. After all, the principle of preaching is to kickstart the chanting process. And Srila Prabhupada taught that only after a person's chanting has gained momentum should one introduce the rules of offenseless chanting.
Yeah. Actually, for newcomer, we don't have to tell them about the 10 offenses. We don't have to tell them about giving up the 4 things. Don't eat meat or don't take intoxicants, don't do this. All these things we don't have to teach. Even a meat eater can also chant. Even a drunkard can also chant. There's no problem. Jagai Mother were drinking. They started chanting, then they gave up drinking and all that. But sometimes some people insist that, see, if you are not, giving up meat eating, you cannot chant. That's a wrong thing, actually. Like one rickshawala told me that I was chanting. I asked him, I have extra mala. Would you like to have? I asked him. He said, no, Swamiji, I'm not qualified. He said, why? I'm a meat eater. He said. I said, therefore you should chant. I told him. Because when you chant, what will go away? Meat eating will go away. But he said, I'm eating meat every day. How can I touch the mala? He said, no. After meat eating, wash your hands with soap. Then you can take mala and chant. That's no problem. Yeah, you can chant. I told him Mrigari's story. I told him other Valmiki and everything. Then he took the mala after that. I said, the very fact you are repentant about meat eating, you will easily give it up. Correct, no? So,
Of course, Srila Prabhupada said, of course, there are some rules and regulations for chanting, but in the beginning, we haven't got to observe those rules and regulations at the present. First of all, let us have the taste for chanting. Then we shall be little careful that the rules and regulations are followed. Rules and regulations are subordinate thing.
So the chanting is primary. And the other rules, 4 regulations, that is secondary for newcomer. Newcomer, actually we should give them higher taste, and having attained the higher taste, they will give up the lower taste. Like here you see Prabhupada, he is not going to the park and telling everybody, now all of you start following 4 regs now. He is not saying. What is he telling them? Chant. Because if you chant, you will give up the unwanted things.
Just like you enter into an office, you are appointed in some office to work. So on the very day, you do not know all the rules and regulations. But because you do not know all the rules and regulations, that does not mean that you cannot be appointed. First of all, let yourself be appointed. Now, working. Yourself you will know that rules and regulations. This is the rule and this is the regulation.
Yeah. What a beautiful example. When you join a company, already they give you the post. Senior design executive. They say, you don't know any design. You're just getting into the company. Then you are an apprentice. They train you for 3 months. Then you start the work and everything. Like when we joined NVCC, we wore the uniform of NCC cadet. Then you wear the shoes, you wear the cap. They gave a gun also. We didn't know how to hold the gun also. We were holding it upside down. And when our sergeant came, he said, hey, you should hold it like this. So we are holding the gun, looking like a soldier in an army, but we have no training at that time. Still we are allowed to wear the uniform. So right now we are wearing dhoti, kurta or sari, or we are wearing tilak. All these things are allowed. We take a bead bag, looking like a pure devotee, but actually we are not yet pure devotee, but we are allowed to accept these things in the beginning, and then eventually everything will come. The highlight is New people should be asked to chant the holy name, join the kirtan.
Srila Prabhupada said, just like in my life, I will say one instance. When I met my spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, so as a gentleman meets as a gentleman, so he was sitting in a couch like that. So, and I also sat down on that very couch. I did not know that what are the rules and regulations. Now, when I saw that his other disciples are coming and they are sitting down, so I thought to myself, oh, I have done this wrong. I should not have sat with his divine grace. So of course, I did not get down immediately, but I took it, and from next day I did not sit. So rules and regulations automatically were taught. That rules and regulations is not very important. The thing is that we must take up. The first rules and regulation is that we must have some attachment for this. Attachment for this. Then automatically rules and regulation we shall learn. There will be no difficulty.
Yeah. Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't tell him, hey, I am Acharya sitting in the top, how can you sit? He didn't insist on that. He said, okay, you can continue to sit here, no problem. He told him, sit here, and he sat. So, the more important thing was his conversation with Bhaktivinoda Thakur and talking, and that exchange, spiritual exchange elevated him. So, therefore, in our preaching also, we should make sure that we inspire the people to chant the holy name. And people chant the holy name. I have always seen boys who chant, they easily give up meditating. Without any difficulty, without even our insisting. We don't even tell them you give up. On their own, they give up. Yeah.
Therefore, just keep nurturing faith. Therefore, although persons may take up chanting for reasons other than glorifying the Lord, such as curiosity, to acquire peace of mind, or to keep pace with social trends, preachers should not discourage them. In whatever way the faithless chant, some form of faith will quickly sprout in their hearts. The expert preacher's duty is to nurture the faith and direct it toward pure devotion.
Yeah. Some people are liking Hare Krishna nowadays because some certain people like our Janavi Harrison Mataji, and there are some other Madhava band, people like that, they have made the Kirtan very popular. Rajavadus and other people. They have reached to millions of people with the Kirtans. So because of that, worldwide, it has become a fashion now to even sing with guitar. People are singing, groups of people. Some of them are putting up Kirtan where 80,000 people are in the audience. Sometimes close to a lakh people, which is a very nice thing. In America, Kirtan and yoga have become very popular, these two things. So somebody may sing for fashion or as a curiosity or for peace of mind. Now even in the West, average student will go to a ISKCON temple and sit with eyes closed and taking part in Kirtan. It's become very common now. They're liking it. People are liking it, which is a nice thing. So don't discourage them. Let them start with chanting. As they chant, they become purified over a period of time.
Somehow or other, become Krishna conscious. Immature preachers sometimes overburden newcomers with rules appropriate for more committed chanters. For instance, they may emphasize the 10 offenses and 4 regulative principles as prerequisites to chanting.
This is not prerequisite to chanting. One should not unnecessarily emphasize this. Yeah.
This may discourage rather than encourage newcomers. We should always keep in mind the basic principle of preaching, a principle initiated by Narad Muni and followed by all acharyas, and a principle Srila Prabhupada expertly applied. Somehow or other, people should be Krishna conscious. As mentioned earlier, Narad Muni instructs us that thinking of Krishna in any way, even inimically, gives one a foothold in devotional service.
And that is what you mentioned below. Tasmat kena pipayena mana Krishne niveshet. Some or other. Like Narad Muni saw Valmiki was not able to chant Rama. So he told him to chant. Because Maro, he was always killing people. So he could say Maro. Amara, he said. And then he could chant Ram's name and became a great sage.
Srila Prabhupada's strategy. Yes. Srila Prabhupada repeatedly cited this verse as a guideline for how to introduce people to Krishna consciousness. He practiced this principle himself with great success and encouraged his followers to engage themselves and others somehow or other in the process of devotional service. By the phrase somehow or other, Srila Prabhupada meant that whatever brought someone to chant and hear about Krishna was suitable. When asked about applying the rules of sadhana bhakti, Srila Prabhupada would reply, they can come later, they will come automatically.
Yeah, they will follow other things eventually.
He often quoted,
Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet sarve vidinishedasyoretayoreva kinkaraha.
One must somehow or another think of Krishna. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of this principle.
So this is from Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. Very nice Jiva Goswami's commentary. Basically the two verses. One is this one. Kamad Veshad Vayat Snehad Yada Bhakteshware Manaha Aveshatadagam Hitva Bhagavastat Gatim Gataha. Many people by love, by hatred, by fear, by familial affection, like that, or by devotion, they have attained. Aveshya means by absorption. They have given up their sin and they have attained the spiritual abode. And then the example is given. Gopya kamat bhayat kamso dveshat chedyadayo nrupa sambandhat prishneha snehat yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. He's giving one example for each. Pure love, gopis. Fear, kamsa. Hatred or envy, Shishupal. And bodily relationship, Vrishnis. And bhakti, Pandavas. Yeah. Bhakti, Narada and others like that. Yujam Bhaktya. So in this way he's saying that these 5 types of relationship anybody keeps with Krishna, they can absorb in remembrance of Krishna very easily and they can give up the sinful activities very easily. And then he's saying, Tasmat Vairanu Bandena Nirvairena Bayena Va Snehat Kamena Va Yunjat Katanchin Nekshate Pratak. Therefore, by constant enmity or by devotion service, by fear, by affection or by lusty desire, by all these things, by any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other happens to concentrate his mind upon the Lord, the result is same for the Lord because of his blissful position. Is never affected by enmity or friendship. So, Jiva Goswami's commentary is very specific. See what he says. In this verse, the verb yunjat, in the potential mood, indicating possibility rather than injunction, which belongs to Vaidhi Bhakti. See what is the difference between possibility and injunction? Is Pratikul Bhakti is possibility. And Anukul Bhakti is injunction. Because even Pratikul Bhakti, if somebody does also, absorption happens and one gets free. That's the whole point. The meaning is this, it is possible to concentrate on the Lord through enmity, devotion, fear, affection or conjugal love rather than one should concentrate on the Lord through enmity. It doesn't say that. Even, that means, as he says here, Tad Gatim means an appropriate form one gets. Therefore, even if Shishupal attained that position, what about the gopis? Like that he says. See, this is the last line he says. Dvishannapi Hrishikesham Kim Vutadokshada Priyaha. Like that he says. Since even Shishupal, who hated Krishna, achieved perfection, then what to speak of the Lord's dear gopis? Yeah. So Prabhupada uses this verse as a means to encourage the devotees in their spiritual progress. There are within Nishad regulative principle. If you see they are unable to follow, then chant Hare Krishna sincerely, you will be able to follow. Prabhupada. Then automatically you will be able to follow everything. And Prabhupada also said that if you engage everyone in Krishna consciousness, like here you see multiple services devotees are doing. First is engage them in service, and they get a little purified, and they will be happy to chant Hare Krishna. When they chant Hare Krishna, then they can follow the regulative principles. Then in this way they can advance further. Armed with this preaching strategy, along with the holy name and a couple of trunks of books, Srila Prabhupada came to the West. With the same tools, he empowered his followers to take up Krishna consciousness to every town and village and to fearlessly give it to materialists, atheists and die-hard agnostics. Srila Prabhupada's strategy worked miraculously. No one had ever spread Krishna consciousness so widely like Prabhupada. An honest person's contact pure devotion service, their hearts change and they gain faith in Krishna and devotion service. They may be mixed devotees, still attached to fruitive work, or pure devotees with no desire other than to Krishna. Anybody, and they can take it. So this is the summary. Preachers should encourage persons who have no faith in Krishna to chant the holy names and become acquainted with teachings of Krishna consciousness. In this way, see, if somebody is refusing to chant, what you will do? See, prasad is the easiest thing they will accept. Then after eating prasad, we can also give them seva. Krishna seva. See, prasad they will take, then Krishna seva they will do, then they will chant Hare Krishna, then they will hear their teachings. Then they will follow regulative principles. This is how they gradually grow, he says. In this way, the faith will awaken in those who are once not devotees. Before it does, however, novices who have no qualifications systematically hear and chant should not be taught confidential pastimes. In training and knowledge giving, give basic knowledge first. After they become mature, then give Krishna's confidential knowledge, which is pastimes and everything. Instead, they should be encouraged to read and understand the introductory portions of Srila Prabhupada's books. If while doing so, novices can come across Krishna's pastimes, there is no harm. See, in Prabhupada's book, here and there, they will hear some pastime, that's all right, but specifically, according to the adhikar, you should teach them, he says. Ashtadadana. And those who are faithless, they will come back to the material world. Therefore, when Prabhupada had a boundless grace, he went on saving conditioned souls and he taught us how to do that. Yeah. My dear Sanatan, just hear from me as I tell you how the different Vishnumurtis hold their weapons, beginning with the disc and how they are named differently according to the placement of the weapons in their hands. Why this verse is given at the end here? Truth is understood like this only, simply by hearing. Because these type of truths we can never fathom. Achintya kalavo bhava atam starkena yojayet. So prakritibhya param yacha tad achintyasya lakshanam. Achintya knowledge means it cannot be fathomed with pratyaksha jnana. Therefore, Shraddha has to be built. How do you build Shraddha? Begin, as you rightly said, begin with prasad. Then give some Krishna seva. That's what Jayanand Prabhu would do. Give some prasadam and give them some Krishna seva. Even our Toshin Mahaprabhu is doing in Pune also. He is bringing many new people and giving them prasad, giving them some nice seva opportunity. And then they get little purified, they agree to chant. And when they are agreeing to chant, they get more purified. Then they can hear the basics of the spiritual knowledge very easily. Then they can hear confidential pastimes. Then they will also follow the regulative principles very strictly. Shri Prabhupada ki, Har Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much.